accomplished yet. Been up, woke up to a commotion this morning. So this is just an update for people that kind of know what's going on here. Woke up to a commotion this morning. I didn't have a good night last night. Had a big day yesterday and didn't rest really well. And my legs were really bad last night. I think it's where the fluid's leaving me, and it goes back to bone on bone, and then I have a lot of issues with that. I'm gonna leave this for my subs. This morning, woke up to commotion. I was not able with my legs to jump out of bed and check on anything, so I was just like, I gotta stay in bed a little while. And but I could hear it from the end of the house and the windows, and David was trying to get dressed to run over and see what was going on. And I guess at some point yesterday, last night or something, everybody had left that property except for the little old man and woman, which is sad because no vehicle, no running water, no bathroom, and just left in that little shack. They have a phone, they have a cell phone, but it's sad. I don't know where the son took off to. I don't know. That they all left probably after the officer came over yesterday to touch base after they had burnt some stuff or something. Anyway, I talked about that yesterday, and I found out about all this when you get home and people are yelling at you and mad at you, and you try to figure out what's going on. You figure out what's going on. So probably after law enforcement made contact over there, I guess that boy fled. Him and those women fled. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming because they didn't come back at all last night. They weren't there this morning when the commotion hit. Little lady was screaming. David finally got about halfway dressed, and her daughter had run over to the house at that point and was asking for me. And David said she had a bad night. She's still in bed. She's, not going so well this morning. He said, I'm not going to get her out of bed. What's the matter? And all I know is that the ambulance then came. They collected the elderly man. The daughter said he was already cold, but there's like no confirmation if he's still with us or not. That's just what the daughter said when she came over. I don't know why she was in a grief mode and probably wanting to ask for help for something. And that's another thing. I just, they hate me, but when something crappy happens, they run, and I'm the first person they ask for help. And, but they collected him with the ambulance. The deputy had to leave driving when the paramedics were still working on him. And so the commotion's finally calmed down, and I've gotten to where I can get up and amble around this morning and get my legs to working. And it's just sad. I still don't feel very well this morning, but I'm up and trying. And I'm sure I'll improve as the day goes on, but this weather being so cold at night is bothering my disorder. It's just been a morning. It's been a morning. And I'm so glad now that I, have been concerned and stressed my concerns, and they didn't need to be over there with their age and medical issues. They didn't need to be living in an environment like that. I fully believe that it was too much, It's just not something they needed to be doing, especially without the ability to do it correctly. So I've been concerned. I'm glad that I've voiced my concerns. Because now this has happened, I'm like, okay, well, if I hadn't done it, I would feel bad right now because of what occurred, and you didn't voice your concerns. Maybe you could have changed it. I would really have been, concerned with, could I have changed the outcome? But that's what happened. I just wanted you to know I'm going to try to tackle the day, and it is my birthday. I mean, it don't matter. I've had so many of them. But we're just going to try to till up a few spots, put some stuff out, rest my flowers out. And I want to try to do what I can do in spurts today. And that's all I'm going to do, and try to have a decent day. And just get through all this. Oh, Lord, YouTube has thrown me back out into the algorithm for assholes. Okay, let's just do the educational promo. I'm a retired parole officer and counselor. I live in Appalachia. Have a neuromuscular disorder that's much like MS. Having a rough day with it today. I'm not the place to come and take your anxiety, angst, or anger out. It doesn't end well. If you say things that need to be reported, I will report you. I don't like the trolls, but if you're a decent person and my subgroup is like a little family, I don't like it when YouTube throws me into the algorithm. But every once in a while, we find some gems. So if you're a decent person and you enjoy actually just trying to understand how other people survive and live and cope with life and handle issues and, the learning curve that comes with medical issues and really rare disorders and, trying to find the joy in life beyond that, that's kind of what this channel's about. If you're a troll, just troll on away. I don't have time. Well, Matthew, I'm glad you beat it twice. Yeah, this disorder I have now is going after my organs. So it will be what takes me out, but it's a really slow roller coaster ride. And I have certain days where I feel almost normal, and then I have weeks where I'm very ill and almost in the hospital, if not in the hospital. So it's been a rougher last couple of years with my health, but all you can do is just keep moving forward. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. No, I have when I was a wilderness boot camp counselor, they were felling timber to make cabins, and we had gotten a new young man from the state of Texas that was there for a violent assault, and it was either go to prison or come to this wilderness facility. And he came to the facility, and he'd only been there maybe a week, 2 weeks max, and I got a radio call to run to this group and aid. The female counselor was in distress, and she was maybe 110 pounds soaking wet. And I'm a big old burly Amazon that grew up on farms and Halterbrook show cattle, and my dad's a blacksmith, shod horses. I've basically grew up just being an extra farmhand. And so I ran over there to help her and didn't know really what I was going into, but I got there, and he had taken the one axe they were allowed to fell timber for building purposes. He had taken that away from the boy that was supposed to have it, and he had got the other 13 children in a spot where he basically was thinking he could harm some of them or the counselor. And I got the other kids away and got the female counselor away and got them safe. And I was trying to de-escalate him. And he knew at that point the gig was up. So he just took a last minute moment and chucked the axe at me, like over his head, slung it at me like you would throw it at a target. And I got lucky the way it hit. It didn't chop. It mostly crushed, but it crushed a nerve bundle and a bunch of bones. And then it basically ruined my left leg. I've had so many surgeries, it ruined my left leg. But I still worked for about another 13, 14 years, maybe 16. Yeah, about 16 years. I worked. I did an AmeriCorps contract with tutoring while I healed from the surgeries and kind of learned to walk correctly again. And then after I got about as good as I was going to get, I went and supervised murders for the state of Tennessee and did pre-sentence investigations, supervised parole. I did a little bit of probation, mostly parole, interstate compact. I monitored some sex offenders. I did the violent, aggressive felons. That's what I was good at. And then it took them 6 years to figure out what I had, this rare disorder. And then when they diagnosed me, I was going to try to get about 18 more months, and they didn't feel comfortable with me supervising murderers with that disorder, even though I had effectively been doing it for how many years. The state was really not a good place to. They were, I mean, probably I should have stayed federal, but the state was not a good place. And so I went back to counseling full time, doing youth intervention counseling and clinical office hours, and ended my career with that. And now I've been so sick, I'm just at home. I'm just at home. So that's kind of how I got this disorder and what it does. I'm doing better. Last summer I was on walking aids and was not doing well. I don't really have to use a walking aid unless I'm having a really insecure day. But the last few days I've been walking really good. My muscles have been working a little bit better. And then the weather has shifted. So I'm expecting some problems. That's okay. It's up and down. You just got to do what you got to do. I have my parents are down the mountain on a cattle farm, and I spend most of my time there. And I'm up here because my nurse wanted me closer to the only ER we have, because my heart was being tachycardic last week. This thing affects my organs, and she wanted me closer to the ER until I could get into my regular doctor for a repeat EKG just to follow up, because I ended up in the ER last week with my heart. And so I told her I don't like to be up here. There's been a lot of crap go on up here because of retaliation from my past employment. Some people that moved into the area that found out I lived here. And it became a legal matter because I was being shot at. I have a life, y'all. And so I just basically stay with my parents because my mom's health has not been good. And so I've been helping her with appointments, and she's been kind of babysitting me on the days I feel really bad. And it's just really calm, really isolated, secluded spot. It's very much better for my health. But I'm super far away from help if I need help when I'm down there. So my nurse was like, "Can you stay close to the ER until we get this repeat EKG?" And I'm like, "Fine." So I came back up here, and my husband is here when he's in from work. And we've had a rough last couple years with my health. He doesn't cope well with my health as it worsens. It's been really hard on him. He's not coped well with the retaliation from the crap that has moved into the area. He's been not happy with everything that's going on, and he likes a quiet life. And so I've just kind of tried to pull everything away from him so he's not being bothered with it. But we're doing better, but it's just my health is to a point where he doesn't know how to deal with it sometimes. And then a couple 3 months ago, I'm not here enough to keep a timeline. The neighbor's home burnt down, and they're an elderly couple, but they've got a lot of problems. And that was a horrific event. And then the elderly couple's been trying to clean the home up. Well, not clean it up, but disassemble it. Nothing's left the property. They've just been putting it in piles. And they're just too old and sick to be doing that. And it's not been a good scenario. If you follow my channel, it's not been a good scenario. I've been worried about them and worried about what it could possibly be doing to me when I'm up here as well, from the biohazard concerns I have over there. And so this morning we woke up with the ambulance having to collect the little old man, and the daughter ran over here when she came over to take her mom to follow the ambulance. The daughter came over here and said that he was already cold when they picked him up. I don't have any confirmation that he passed or not. I just know that the deputy left driving and the paramedics were working on him. So it's been a hectic morning, and I'm like, this is stressful up here. This is why I don't stay up here all the time. So I've toyed with the thought, even though my nurse wants me close to the ER, I've toyed with the thought of just going back down to the isolated cattle farm, being away from it all. Get the EKG next week. It'll be okay, but my nurse she would probably be very mad at me about that. But, it's been a morning here, and I'm just like, wow, super stressful up here. And, but if you work in any kind of high-profile job like that where you change people's lives, the lives of those that you didn't change because they refused to change, they hate you eternally. And I'm like, man, if you just put that energy towards yourself, this would all be fixed. But a lot of people just can't do that. But I have a lot of success stories. I have some really awesome success stories. They're sprinkled into some of my videos and sprinkled into some of my lives. I've got one guy that I had to revoke his parole, and he went back for like a 6 or 8 year sentence. He just got out. And he contacted me over social media and was like, I did what you told me to do. The first thing I did was enter a program to better myself. He said, I've got my truck driving license. And he said, I've got a local route. He's like, I've got a job with health insurance and benefits. And he said, you're right. If you do one step to improve yourself, it makes you want to take another and another. And so he's been out for pushing a year now and doing awesome. I've got some people that have written books and done public speaking engagements all across the nation with their stories. I routinely go and take the younger men that I supervise that want to share their story and go to youth facilities, and they tell their stories and try to turn these younger generation around. I go to recovery centers and just kind of do some, you're worth the effort kind of engagement speaking. So I still send people to rehab. People still find me, even though I try to live quiet and hide. They still find me. And if if they take the effort to show up on my porch, I'm not going to let you in my house, but we'll sit on the porch and we'll find you a place to go to rehab, and I'll have you on a van probably in the next 24 hours. But sadly, my poor little rural area doesn't have anyone that does that. And I'm trying to fill that niche, but I'm also too sick to do it consistently. But that's kind of what I do now that I'm at home with my health issue. And I worry about when I'm gone, who's going to fill that void in this community. I don't know if they will or not. No, I didn't, because if you've worked in the legal system, you know that they overlook the people, bless their hearts, that are just don't understand the law and don't reside within it. They kind of overlook. But if I had done anything, they would have buried me under the jail because I know better. But no, for 10 months, she would just get high and come toward the property line and just start shooting at my house. And when she was shooting a pistol, it didn't really worry me. I grew up around guns. I've hunted my whole life. I'm a rough and tumble sort. And, a pistol round was not going to make it. It was going to be very hard to hit anything, and, wasn't going to do much damage. And I just kept reporting it, trying to get the authorities out here to pick her up. And they kept basically just being too sorry to do anything. Just caught like it is. And so one night she had switched guns, and I knew it was no longer a pistol. And they were still refusing basically to come out and do anything. So I just live streamed it to my channel. And I called him and I said, I'm live streaming. I said, so all this time you said, oh, nothing's happening. She's not shooting. You're not in distress. And I said, now you have proof. I said, the whole world has proof. And I said, if you don't come pick her up, I'm going to sue you. It took 5 men to arrest her. She was down in the woods with a weapon, shooting a long barrel 22 at my house. Now, that's not a big round, but they're lethal little guns, and they go a long way. So she was definitely on a mission. She was on a mission. So they got her collected, and she's being true billed over to criminal courts on that. And I think the people in the area have figured out, just leave me alone. If you're upset about something because I did my job, you were out of bounds with the law, and that's your problem. It wasn't my problem. That's your problem. So it's normally very quiet, because I had a really great relationship with 99.9% of anyone I worked with, and their families keep in touch. I've been invited to weddings, funerals, everything. I really tried to change lives. But there's a few people that you have to send back that you do have to worry about, especially the more violent and repetitive criminogenic offenders. Those that grew up entrenched in it. And I've still got a few of those that are going to be released in the next several years, and I'll have to watch. But this is the first person locally, which I didn't work locally only but 6 months. I babysitted a caseload for 6 months after someone retired, without a lot of warning. And I always worked like a 4 to 5 county rotation in other counties. And they pulled me back over here because they had no other option. So I adopted this county with my other responsibilities. And I tried to make them not do it, but they didn't have anyone else to swing over here. And then the people over here realized what I did, because I didn't tell anybody what I did for a living. I just left and did it. And then everybody figured out who I was, what I was doing. And I didn't like that. to kind of float under the radar. And there's a few people, because you're affiliated with law enforcement and you're close enough to them, they just want to take their anger out at law enforcement on somebody that used to be in law enforcement. And I understand anger toward law enforcement because they certainly didn't do their job to help me. But and even that, I used to be one of them. They didn't do a job to help me. But I think when they actually came and collected her, they realized how bad the situation had been. And so when all that had been going on, I just kind of started staying down on the cattle farm, trying to reduce the target that was being placed here because I didn't want anyone else to get hurt. And my health does better down there. My husband got really stressed out because I was really sick during that time and didn't know if I'd still be here at this time. It was really bad. And he doesn't cope with my health as it's worsened very well. It's been very hard on him. And so we just kind of lead independent paths. And I do better down on the cattle farm, and I help take care of Mom when she's not feeling well, and she babysits me when I'm not feeling well. And I just kind of have felt a need to be down there for them and for me, and it's worked out. But my nurse wanted me closer to the ER this weekend until I could have that repeat EKG. And every time I'm up here, it's just the stress of this. This used to be such a sweet little neighborhood with young families and kids playing softball, and you just get a couple of people move in and it turns into something else. And sadly, that occurred here. And then as soon as they identify who you are, they have a beef. And I'm sitting there going, I'm retired and old and very well domesticated at my age now. I'm such a different soul than I was when I was young and gung-ho. And I just try to be quiet and live peaceful and crochet stuff for my grandbabies and be an old woman. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. And it's been difficult to be in this area. Oh, yeah, that's Bob Mearley. My husband, he traps and tans sometimes, and he's always got something tanning. And my whole house, I do like native inspired art. My dad's basically Irish, and my mom is got a lot of Native American in her from the Cherokee and Delaware tribe up north. She's Lenape. And so I still keep a lot of the old ways alive. So I do a lot of rustic art and stuff like that. And my husband, he does buy my craft stuff to keep me busy and stuff. We're not ogres to each other. We're just in a really weird place right now with my health and everything that's going on. And but he's like, do you need more craft stuff to keep you busy? Because I'm used to working 90-hour work weeks. So even being sick, I still want to be busy. And so he buys a lot of craft stuff and keeps me busy. And when I make something really pretty, I give it to him I'm like, here, he has an Etsy shop, and I'm like, here, you can have this to recoup some fees from all my craft. I feel kind of bad because I do craft a lot. I'm currently working on a raccoon clutch purse. Hang on, I'll show you. Let me get up. Oh, if I get up. But yeah, let me turn a light. That's Bob Mearley. The taxidermist that mounted him, that he did his eyes just slightly askew, so he looks a little stoned, so I call him Bob Mearley. But I've been working on this. I've got to finish the edge. I'm sewing it to the clutch. And so it's a full back end of a raccoon. It's been turned into a little bag with a little clutch top on it. And so I've got to finish right here because the holes are really tiny. And so I try to work on it in the morning when my eyes are doing better. And then I've got to go back and finish the edge, cut it off and finish the edge. And it'll be a little raccoon clutch. And I do a lot of dream keepers, a lot of ceremonial sticks, rattles. Some of the tribes buy from me for their ceremony stuff. I do like fur mantles. I'm working on a coyote fur mantle that would be really cute for like a Ren Fair costume. I do a lot of just off the wall stuff that I just want to make it. I just want to see if I can make it. And then I crochet a butt ton, so much. Mom had doctor's appointments last week, and I crocheted. I've got another body started, and I've got a little Arctic Fox lovey that I've got to put together. Its head, body, its tail. It's going to be a little lovey for a lady that's pregnant. And then I started another one of the Bigfoots with the arms and legs, and I've got, oh gosh, I've got way too much. We had a lot of downtime at doctor's appointments the last couple of weeks. You got to sit still, you might as well be crocheting. And then I started a catfish body, and I've got to finish it and put the lip on it and the fins and stuff it. And I do a lot of, I try to stay, even though I'm sick, I don't know what it's like to not want to get up and do something, so I try to stay going, busy, and keep my mind sane. I just picked that up. My daughter had twins, and she was wanting something for them, and it was going to be like $150 to get both of them one. And I was like, I can make that, because I sew and quilt and everything, and I was like, I can make that. I've done granny squares. I can make that. I just didn't want to waste the money on something I thought I could make. So I sat down and made them that, and then I realized this is kind of neat. It's kind of neat. I like it. It's fun. It's soothing. And so I've not put it down. So I just am constantly making stuff. So, but my husband, I give him some stuff. If it turned out really good and I'm not going to gift it or I'm not going to use it, I'm like, here, recoup some of the fees you spend on my crafting crap. And so he puts it in his Etsy store, and it's his Etsy store is Hillbilly Hardcore. And he's got furs and some of the stuff I've given him. And he's actually supposed to be home today, and that's normally the days that he takes pictures and puts up whatever he's created for the week as well. So, but we're just country folk. Hi, Nat. Yeah, if I'm going to be still, I got to be doing something. And where I was having that health issue, my eyes were not really, I couldn't read a whole lot. It would cause a headache. So I took the crochet because that's easier to see. Unless, oh my gosh, this one right here. I'm doing this with like a 2/8. Okay, so I made a snuggle slug for my granddaughter, and I made it per the pattern. But my grandson is he's a sweet little boy. He likes to hug. He's a little hugger. He's just full of hugs, and he likes to squeeze stuff. And he's a tactile kid. And so I made this one. I wanted to have some. I wanted to be kind of fat, so I didn't make its antennas straight. I made them pudgy, and it's going to have another antenna, and its eyes are going to be pure, a little crooked face right here, a little crooked smile. And this is why they're snuggle slugs. And if I were to count the rows that I've done on this with this little tiny yarn, Lord. So this one has been a little bit more difficult because I've used a tiny yarn with this little fuzzy yarn that you can't see your stitches on, but it's been fun. I think he'll enjoy it because he's just a little snuggle bug himself. He's just as sweet as he can be. I think Anna's is larger because I used a blanket yarn. Yeah, this is hers. She's rambunctious, and I fully think she's going to use this as a weapon. I can see her doing it. And this one's got its eyes on it, its mouth over here, a little smile over here, and it's bigger. And I fully see her just grabbing this and whacking the snot. So, but I made its top out of blanket yarn, so it was bigger and it was super fast. That one I made out of tiny yarn. It's going super slow. But I make them stuff and send it, and they're about 7-8 hours away. And I make stuff and I send it. They destroy it. I make more stuff and send it, and they destroy it. That's what grandmas do. Yeah, that's what I'm using, that number 2 yarn. And so it's taken me longer to get that one done. And when I go places like that, I take an easy project that I will remember, and it won't unravel and me cry. So I made hers out of blanket yarn because I fully expect her to kill it in no time flat. So I'll just whip up another one. But I made them both out of this fuzzy, which you can't really see your stitches. You have to feel every time you do a stitch. But I like these. I give it little lips over here and eyes, little crooked smile. Put a little bow on it right here for her. And but I can see her just grabbing this and just wham. I'm like, we're gonna have to train them that they're not weapons. But yeah, that little one is taking much longer for that green yarn, but that green yarn is so pretty. And he's a hugger. So I wanted this one to look like a little fat plump one. So, but this variegated yarn up here, this variegated color, it's made it really pretty. I don't know if you can see in the light, but it goes from lime green to dark green. It's hard to see through the camera, but I love the pattern on it. It'd have been really pretty to have made frogs out of, those little sitting frogs, but I pretty much just make everything for the grandkids. But I gave David one of the Bigfoots, and he put it on his Etsy store. I'm going to make this one fatter with longer arms and shorter legs. Well, thanks for popping in. We appreciate you. I'm basically distracting myself from the morning's events. It's been stressful. So the last thing I'm going to do is, now that I've got this one stuffed and this stuffed, I've got to go in here and attach and start going around here. And so I'll start here, put it together, or I'll start here, put it together, leave this middle hole, build the other antenna, stuff it, and then I'll close the gap in the middle, sew it together. And it'll have a little mouth here and eyeball up here. I'm going to do it in a fine black though. So, and then I made my nephew's pregnant wife a lovey for a unicorn lovey for the baby, and a little pink leggy frog, because newborns like to hold on to things. So you can make like the jellyfish, the jellyfish, what else is it? Squid. You know, they got those rounded hair tails on them, and they put them in the NICUs and stuff. You can crochet those for a NICU baby, so they hang onto those and they don't pull their cords and stuff. It feels like they've got their cord with them, their umbilical cord. It calms them down, and it keeps them from pulling their medical cords out of themselves. So you can crochet those and send them to NICUs across the nation. And that gave me the idea, because this baby may be early, and it gave me the idea. So I put curly hair in the unicorn lovey, and I put curly legs on the leggy frog. So if the baby does come early, to have something to hang on to and feel like it's still got its umbilical cord, have a sense of comfort. And I thought, well, that would be beneficial. And, you know, if it's born fine, then that'd be fine too. But so I got that made, and Mom and Dad are going to take it with them. If Mom's able, she's going to go see the baby when it's born. They live out in West Tennessee. Oh, thank you, Mary. It started off with a bang. Mary, oh, thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you. Jen's are just a great. It's just another day. I've had so many birthdays, so it's just another day. But it started off, this is why I look like this. It started off with a bang, and I just wanted to get on here. The ambulance came this morning after law enforcement was over here yesterday. Well, I was with Mom and Darlene, I guess. The boy and the women packed up and left at some point yesterday evening. The RV's still here, but they're gone. Gone. And sadly they left the elderly male and woman over here. No running water, no septic, no vehicle. They did have a phone, thank God. And this morning she went to hooping and hollering, and I can't get up my legs. I don't know if they're going to work when I first get up. I don't know. Which they've been doing a lot better the last few days, but last night was a rough night. And I could hear David bob around. He said, I'm trying to get some britches on to go see what's going on. And I said, well, I'm going to just stay in bed. Don't think I need to get up this fast. And the next thing I know, he's talking to the daughter that's come across the yard. And from what she told him, the daughter just lives down the road, so she had drove up here. And from what she told David, the man was unresponsive when they woke up. And she got called the paramedics. That was what she was screaming about. It was a wild morning. And the paramedics, the deputies arrived. The deputy left driving the ambulance. The paramedics were working on him, and the daughter said he was already cold. Now, I don't know what's going on other than that. I don't know if he's still with us. He's passed. If y'all know, my last several lives, I've been irritated with what's been going on. adamant that they're too old to be undertaking such a dangerous task, and they're not capable. The biggest thing is they're not capable to undertake the task they've been doing. It's point blank obvious to anybody who's been watching my channel. And I have been super concerned. The bank's been super concerned because the bank, we still have like a year's payments on this. And once we get down there 2 years, I don't even really think about it. It's just got to be paid. And we redid the loan. We had it paid off, and then my daughter got into UT, and we sent her to UT. And so we've repaid it down again and about to get it paid off again. And but the bank has lost a lot of property value with what's been going on around us in this little area. And the bank was taking new pictures after the house fire over there. They came out to take new pictures because we're within like the last year of the contract, and they were updating the file. And he was very unhappy with what he saw next door. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I can't do anything about it. And he was like, well, we've got a vested interest in this property, blah, 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 blah. And so he started a lot of crap that's, I've had to contend with. And but I am not happy with what's going on there either. But they did not need to be there with their age and their health conditions. That's a task that can't be done by them. It's a dangerous place, especially with the hoarding and everything that's the biohazards over there, I'm sure, that exist from a hoarding house. Plus, they have no septic over there, and we all know that I've been wondering what's been going on with the wind, and the bank guy was very upset about that as well. He was he was mad weeks ago. I really, wasn't super upset until a couple of people turned into like half dozen or more. And then I was like, okay, y'all, you didn't even dig an outhouse. What's going on? And then the wind the last week has been, you all know, it about gagged me several times. And so all this has been stuff I've had to contend with, and this morning was just the culmination of everything. And I'm glad I have been voicing my concerns about their age and medical status and being over there. They don't need to be over there, because now that this happened, if I hadn't, I would have been like, you could have said something and maybe helped, done more. I've literally done all I can do, And so I feel good about what I tried to do to let them know, you're too old. It's not possible. Don't be doing this. It's too dangerous, but it's been morning. It's been a morning. Yes, Annette. Yes. And then there's a lot of just moldy debris, rotting, mouse and rat. None of us knew how bad it was until the firefighters began raking things out of windows that were stacked floor to ceiling. The firefighters had not seen anything that bad. But people that live so isolated and paranoid, they're hard to help. They're hard to help. And if you do try to help them, you get stuck in two paths. You're enabling, or you're trying to get them into trouble. And it's very difficult. You can't have conversations. You can't have a neighborly relationship. For years, I couldn't sit on my porch without being cussed, because when her boys ended up going to prison, I couldn't explain to her that I let people out of prison and supervise them. I didn't do new investigations, but I got cussed every day. I couldn't sit on my front porch without getting cussed out, and it's been hard. But when the house thing happened, I moved all my, by the time the fire engines got here, I'd moved all my vehicles, cleared the lot so everybody could park in my yard so they could get the fire engine over there. And that's just what you do when that happens. I gave her clothes and got her linked up with resources, gave her all the numbers she needed, because I know that would have been a struggle. And, I was trying to be kind, because at that point, I don't care if we have beef, you've had a traumatic event, I'm going to help you. But it's been hard because they just don't seem to want to be helped, and they don't seem to want to improve. And they're okay living like that, so everybody else should be okay living beside that. And I really, I don't try to stretch the boundaries, the rules. I know I don't have a lot of control over that, but when I'm afraid that I don't know what's being stirred up and coming on the wind and what I'm being exposed to when I'm here and what Dave's being exposed to all the time, it concerns me greatly. And I thought maybe I was just type A, but the bank guy, if I'm type A, he's anal retentive beyond belief because he was very upset. He was very upset. Of course, our property values went down like $14,000 in the last decade, and it's because of the crap that's moved into this area, and it's frustrating. But you living in the country, there's not a lot of regulations, and the cops don't enforce crap. And I think the septic thing that the banker has put a thumb pin on for everybody, I think they're probably going to have to do something about that. And I'll get blamed for all of this. It is what it is. It's just a bad situation. It's just a bad situation. It's just bad. I try to be nice, but there's a point where I have to say, okay, this has gone on too long. You don't need to be living in a little shed 10 inches from my fence and at your age with your health and trying to take apart a home. They don't even have a vehicle to haul off trash. There's not been one truckload of trash leave that place. They're just disassembling it and putting it in piles. I was very concerned because if y'all know, when I was on the porch doing a live the other day, last week before last week, there's been too much happened in the last few weeks. He was just ripping fiberglass insulation that was, you could see the rat poop caked in it in the mold, and he didn't have on a mask, respirator, nothing. And it was just ripping it out, throwing it on the ground, and then he'd pack it in a pile and rip it out, throw it on the ground. And I was just like, dude, there's so many things you can get in your lungs from that type of situation. And I left and went back down the farm because I was like, it's on the wind. Thank God it mostly blows that way, but I don't need to be around that. I've got a scarred left lung from where I was in that jail ride. The things I say. But I didn't need to be around it. They didn't need to be around it, not at their age especially. Yeah, that's why I had to, Mary, I had to say some people just don't have that salvation silver lining. And even if you want it for them, unless they want it, it's not going to happen. I made peace with it yesterday, and I guess I'm glad I did, because this morning has been a hoop-de-hoo. But I feel good. I mean, I legit have tried. I've tried. It is, Mary, it is. And I told the nurse, she checked on me yesterday, and I said, it's been kind of stressful today. I said, I've had a lot of calls, and I said, there's been a lot of stink stir that I'm going to have to deal with. And I said, it's getting kind of stressful here. And I said, I'm just going to tell you, I talked to her really late last night. She checked on me before she went to bed, and I was like, it's after her live. And I was like, if it gets super stressful, I said, I'm just going to go back down the hill. I said, it'd be better for me to not be stressed away from the ER, to be close to the ER and be stressed. I said, I'll come back up the hill for the EKG next week. Don't freak out. So we've had a morning. I'm just at a point where I don't know what else to do but just sit here and be like, surely this is all fiction. It's not. Sadly, it's not. So I don't know if he's still with us, if he passed. I don't know. It did not look good. All of this was, probably preventable, because what he's been trying to do the last couple weeks is too much of a task for him and too toxic for anybody, but him, especially his age. And they don't have any money to get it cleaned up the right way and have people that can protect themselves do it. It's been a complete just car wreck from beginning to end. So I don't know what's going to happen after this. She certainly can't live over there alone in that little shed, and nobody would let her. I would hope not. Surely her family would not let her. But after the law enforcement was over here yesterday, the things you find out on the tail end of a day before you go to bed, when I was with Mom and Darlene and Muddy Pond, I guess an officer was over here. And so last night, by the time I went to bed, the ones living in the RV, the RV's still there, but they had packed up and fled, and they didn't come back. They didn't come back. They're not there. So the elderly couple was left alone. Yeah, Ashley, it's sad, isn't it? Makes you feel bad, but people in those positions lash out, and normally they lash out at the people trying to help them the most, and you have to make a conscious effort of where is your energy going to be best received and most likely to really help somebody. Yeah, Ashley. Yeah, and some people just are a bottomless pit of wants. That's kind of the scenario over here too. It's just they'll take, and they don't. I mean, this next door situation that y'all know has taxed me financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, and I don't think they understand how it has affected everyone else. Mary, I hope that they realize they can't leave her there. I will throw a fit if she's left there alone. I will throw a fit. It's not safe. Surely they'll have to get a better game plan together. I don't know. I don't know. It's pitiful in lots of ways. It's sad in lots of ways, and it's irritating in lots of ways. And I just made my peace with it yesterday. I hit done at like Mach 9 yesterday with all the phone calls I've had to field and all the stink that's being stirred. I hit done yesterday. I was done. I was done. And oh, thank you, Mickey. So we don't know really what's going on. David just started his day. He's off today. He just started his day and went off to do whatever he had scheduled to do this morning. I don't know. We lead such separate paths now. We just go our own way. He did say he was going to be here later to till a spot if I wanted to put those seeds out. Because wherever I am, I do like to see pretty flowers and have something to tinker with if I have a good day. And so I try to be productive wherever I'm at. Mom's got more health stuff going on next week, and probably when Dad's in the hay, I'll be there. Pretty much. I'll be hard pressed to even be up here at all. And David wanted me to be up here and make myself known every little whip stitch just to keep people from stealing us blind, thinking nobody was home. Yes, that's how bad it's gotten here. And I'll be hard pressed to do that because Dad'd be in the hay, cutting hay, and I'll be trying to go and stay with Mom when she has appointments and if she's got procedures to be done, which we know there will be. And so it's going to get difficult for me to keep my nurses and staff happy, because my mom will be the priority at that point. So, but then Mom some days has to babysit me when I'm not doing well. So, but I do better down there. I do much better, and I'm really like this morning has really hit me hard. So I'm like, should I just go back down the hill? Just sure, I'm 3 minutes from the ER here, but it's stressful. It's stressful. So I need to try to eat something to start my day. I just haven't even run a comb through my hair or nothing. I just wanted to give you an update. It was just such a rough morning. And I had a rough night, as you can tell from my eyes. I had a rough night. The fluid moved a lot and hurt and kept me up. My legs hurt a lot last night. So, but I can't be on here long, so I'm fixing to log off and try to eat some breakfast and do something to distract me. And I told Dave, I said, if I've got to be here for a few days at the ER, I said, I need tasks to complete to keep my mind off of everything. And I've got that kitchen hutch that needs to be put together. If I can contort my body to get it all put together. But if he's going to be tilling stuff, I'd like him to till flower row so I can at least put the seeds out, because I don't think some of them will make it to next year to germinate. They're too old. So I'd like to at least put them out. I put a lot out at Mom's too, but I'd like to at least get them in the ground, give them opportunity to grow. And they pretty much will tend themselves when I'm not here, so it's not a big deal. And I'm going to try to weed my little vegetable container gardens again today. And but I just need to stay busy. I may end up dog sitting. There's a girl that wants me to sit her dog, babysit her dog, and they're doing a little mini vacation, and they're like, and if you like her, we're trying to find her a home. They threw that in there. I don't know. Life's been so hectic. I don't know if I need to even tackle that one, but it would be nice to not go everywhere alone or be alone when I'm here, and it would be nice. Well, I tell you what, the trolls today have been horrible. YouTube is throwing us back out into the algorithm. So hang on. But I've had a rough morning. I feel like I woke up and got run over by Peterbilt, just from the stress that hit with all that this morning. It's just been a rough morning. But I wanted to update you on what was going on and just kind of talk it out, because processing all this has been rough for me. I mean, I used to, nothing like this bothered me because I worked in such a horrible field. But now with my health, it really does get to me. And I'm alone all the time. Sometimes you just need to talk it out. Yeah, I'm going to finish my Snuggle Slug for Walker. I'm using a number 2 yarn, so it's taking forever. But it's very cute. It's so cute. It really is cute. But the antenna, I made his pudgy and fat. I didn't do a straight antenna, and I didn't do straight body. I made it kind of pudgy and fat because he's a hugger. And so I got through the other antenna, and then its little mouth would go here, and its eyeball go up here. But that weight 2 yarn, it made it smaller because Anna's is ginormous. I made it out of the same bottom, but the blanket yarn on top, I had an extra skein of this. Made out blanket yarn on top, and I fully think Anna will use this as a weapon. Put a little bow on it up here for her, and it's got its little mouth and eyeballs. And it's just something else for them to destroy when they're playing, and then I'll make another one. But his has turned out, it's taken forever to do because of the number 2 yarn, but it's turned out really cute. Well, I'm not a fan of blanket yarn. The lumpy bumpies are not my thing. But, kids like the blanket yarn. And but I wanted it to match the brown, to have an earth tone kind of vibe. And so I put that green in there, and I didn't mind to take extra time. It was at the end. And but it's turned out really cute. I wanted to make it a little fat Snuggle Slug because he's a little snuggler. So, and I've got a Bigfoot to put together, an Arctic fox lovey, a white-tailed deer lovey. I've got a whole bag of stuff that I've crocheted. I've got just body parts to be sewed together in my bag. So I may do that tonight when I sit down, sit still, and calm down. But I want to be outside moving around to get this fluid moving again, because the fluid moved and kind of stuck in my face and my shoulders last night. And so I need to get up and walk and start moving the fluid again. And so I want to be outside a little bit today if it warms up, and throw some seeds in the ground and petter around and have a better movement day. Well, I did a lot of moving yesterday too. I'm just trying to get this fluid off of me. I've lost like 10 pounds of fluid this week from that episode with the medication change for my thyroid. That was rough. Was it too homesick? I'm just glad you found the owner. That's dogs are, expensive. I'm glad you found the owner. I'm sure they loved him. Y'all, when I take my earrings out, this is how many earrings I have in my head. I laid them down when I took them out, and I was like, man, that's a lot of earrings. I'll be hard pressed to do anything more than a bun today because I'm taking days for me is a mental health day. I'm taking it off. I'm done. How many pre-document visions people get in court? I would say when it comes to like violent crimes that have victims that were either killed or very tragically harmed in some way, if the crime scene was pretty straightforward, and when you're doing a pre-sentence investigation, you can kind of tell if the crime scene was pretty straightforward, you can pretty much know that they're going to plea out. There's really no defense for them. You can kind of see it coming. They're going to plea out. They may try to plea out and make the judge kind of take pity and reduce a couple of things so they don't get, or, do a concurrent instead of consecutive so they get to serve time on all of them together. But I would say honestly, because in our nation, if you want, you can take everything to trial, but to take it to trial, that also means that they can hold you until trial. And sometimes it's 2 years or more to get into trial. And a lot of people just can't or don't want to stay in custody that long to go to trial. And they're, because of the issues, they're not given a bail option. And so most people, probably 90% of the time, it ends up being a plea. 90%, if not a little bit more. And then when you do have a trial of that magnitude, it becomes a media spectacle. And so when you're in the courtroom, you have the whole outside and back walls lined with television cameras. So it's rare enough that media shows up when something like that goes to trial, because they do normally just plea out. Now, they may do several presentations in court before they get to where they understand it's just going to be better for me to plea. So it may drag on for several months in court, and they may go through a few lawyers or public defenders before they realize, okay, I'm not going to win this. But they normally do plea out so they can get, either start serving their sentence and have that time banked toward them, or so they can hurry up and try to push it to trial. They have to make that decision, and most of them just choose to plea out so they can either get a credit for the time served and start a probation, or be closer to a parole release, or a determinate release, or a parole release. But over 90% pleas out, and the most stubborn go to trial, or the ones that were innocent, or there was mixed issues that need to be considered. Those are the ones that go to trial. Yeah, it's sometimes, and you can go and see if they've had presentments to handle small issues in the case, because sometimes they don't tell the victim's families because it's not really anything the victim can do. But you can go and see how many times they presented in court and if it's moving forward at all in any manner. But it does sometimes take 2 years or more to get to trial. And that's just because of the backlog that's going on in our court systems, and the asinine debauchery that takes place with backroom deals. Just quite honest, that's what it is. Yeah. Well, you see this woman that was shooting at me, we're well over a year now, and they've just now decided to present her to the grand jury under a true bill for indictment. And she's been to court 5 or 6 times. It's slow. It's slow and pitifully painful for the victims and their families, and frustrating. And But I'm of the mindset, if you didn't do it, take it to trial. Just sit there and take it to trial. But if you did it, it's better just go ahead and get your time started so you can get credit for it and serve your sentence. And most of them are like, yeah, I know I'm going to get found guilty, so they just plea out when they get one that they can agree with and start their sentence. It is. It's very crazy. It's very difficult when you're an officer to follow a case, do these investigations. When you do dozens a year, and then go to court and be questioned over something you did, 26 months ago, and you're like, and you have to take a copy of your report to refresh your memory bank. It's frustrating, because I probably could have done a much better job if you'd asked me right after I walked the scene and went through the information and all the paperwork. Would have been much more, beneficial if they just asked me when it was all fresh in my brain. But that's why I did such detailed reports, because I knew it may be 2 years more before I was on the stand. Yeah, it's a slow moving process. Once it gets to criminal court, it'll be kind of slow for a while, but then when they get to where they're going to put the gas, as soon as they get a presentment in criminal court, it'll take a while, and then when they get a presentment, it'll be done. That's what happens. So it'll take a while to get all the paperwork shuffled and to get the, basically the new plea deals and talk back and forth and get discovery back and forth and all that. And then when they get close to taking it up before the judge or to trial, that lawyer will work really hard to push a last minute plea deal, because normally lawyers really don't want to go to trial. And it'll either plea out really quick or go to trial and it's done. But it takes a hot minute when it gets to criminal court to roll on over. But then when they didn't deal with it, it's yeah, well, that's the way it is here. Like assault charges are strange, because whoever goes and files assault first gets the charge. Like, they can press the charge, and then the other person has to defend themselves. So anybody can roll up and take an assault charge out on you, because they can say, this happened to me, and then you have to go clear your name in court. That's one of the worst things I ever saw, was the way they use that. So basically, it's whoever beats the other one to file the charges. And I never liked that. So you always have to look at assault charges super, super, super critically, because that is just one of those charges, because there's normally not a lot of witnesses and not a lot of, resource data about the event. Then you have to kind of, that's when you have to look at the wounds, look at the years of behavior as far back as you can get on both, really look into the individuals and take them apart. And because it's just kind of whoever gets there first looks like the victim and is noted as the victim in the courtroom. So assault scenarios are very hard in the courtroom to take apart. There's a helicopter fixing to fly over. And the only helicopters that fly over me are Aerovac, Medevac. It would probably make me think that they're going to fly him out. If it's for him. There could be somebody else up there struggling. I don't know. What a morning. What a morning. What a morning. Lost my train of thought now. What was I saying? Because of the way the law is written, maybe if they'd put the other charges on her, it wouldn't have been, they don't think they would have got as a conviction, so they put this charge on her because they knew they could get a conviction. Does that make sense? So they'd rather put their money on what they know they can prove and get, rather than put their money on something that is got a, 1 out of 10 chance. They'd rather put their money on the 8 out of 10. They do that a lot too. So when the district attorney goes and presses charges, they read the law very critically, and they will push the ones that they know they can prosecute the easiest and the hardest, and get the most bang for the buck out of. And if it's going to be harder to prove and they think they're going to lose the whole case if they can't prove it, like if it's all based on like one thing and they can't prove that charge, it's going to kind of dismiss everything else. So they'll reduce it and get more of reduced charges instead of the one grisly charge. But they're trying to get as many proven and get as much time banked without losing charges in the shuffle of the court. And, they want to be able to prove without a shadow of doubt and get that conviction. And so they will reduce something to get a sure win rather than walk out on a tightrope with a possible. The courtroom is a strange place. It's a strange place. Okay. Send it on Messenger. I think David's home. I don't know where he went. He just took off. He's like, I'm on a tiller. Maybe he went to get gas. Oh, no. I need to eat my yogurt, and I need to put on clothes and act like a real person today. I did that yesterday, too. But I need to get up and eat something and piddle fart around and move this fluid. But I'll watch for it. I'll try to check periodically through the day, Ashley. But I just wanted to let you know we had a morning. And I feel horrible. That's David. You can see something coming, but you can't stop it. And he belched on the porch. You can see something coming, but you can't stop it, and it's frustrating. I'm on the internet, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Did you eat breakfast?
Drop me something, eat me pineapple cobbler.
Pineapple cobbler.
Yeah, I ate a little piece of that.
Okay.
Just the after effects.
Well, thank you, Ashley.
Just the after effects.
I'm going to try to plant some flowers and stuff
I'm going to try to see if the tiller starts.
He says he's going to try to see if the tiller starts. I'm going to try to plant some flowers. And I'm going to try to spend the majority of later today outside when it warms up. And he's dancing. And then next week, before I have the EKG, I'll just do what I can on the house till I have that EKG. I think I was saying Monday, but it's Tuesday because nobody's in Monday. My brain is. So I've got a couple days. Maybe I'll get some housework done. But if it gets like super stressful up here, I'm splitting. I'm splitting. So anyway, I'm going to go start my day, y'all. Have a good day. It looks like YouTube's throwing us back out in the algorithms. We had some troll traffic. Just buckle seatbelts. We'll get through it. And we'll see what's happening. Everybody says hi, Dave. Mom is trying to send me those videos. Not all of them would send, but she's sending me the ones that will send, and I will try to throw them up for you to see. Just a little snapshot of the day. It's not going to be a great video, but it'll be a snapshot of the day. It's beautiful here, Annette. It's beautiful here. It's just a little cold at night. But it was windy the other day. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you a lot. And regardless of the irritation this family has caused me, pray for this guy and pray for his family. There's a lot in that family that can be resolved with a little bit of humility before the Lord. But again, that's for them. They have to heed that call. But I wouldn't wish what they've been through on anybody, but I also wouldn't wish what I've been going through on anybody either. It's not been easy for anybody. But this morning was definitely a shocker. Yeah, it's much cooler here. The cooler night's been hurting my fluid and legs a lot. So we'll get through it. I'm a little puppy this morning, but it'll work out. I need a facelift. I've lost so much weight. I need to pull this back up. It's never going to happen. I've been using that Jade roller gua sha thing. Is that how you say that? But I don't. You listen. I was just too fat. I lost too much weight too quick, and my shoulders and top half keeps losing weight, and so my middle keeps looking fatter. But I'm losing more. I'm still losing weight slowly, but I'm still losing. So I'm just changing shape, and so I'm shaped like a dozer from Fraggle Rock now. But it's it is what it is. I'm healthier, so that's all I'm worried about. And I think had I not lost the weight, I would probably have not been doing very well last winter with the weather. But it all come out in the wash. I'm doing better, and that's just I'm handling an issue, but it's a lot better than the issues I was handling a couple 3 years ago. So I keep trying to keep it in check and look at it like that, and just keep moving forward. Yeah, the fluid has been the hardest thing for my body to contend with. This disorder likes to swell and overreact, and then I have issues with fluid anyway, and then I have all the damage in my left leg and side of my body. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. But I'm doing better than I was, and 6 years ago, I was in misery, and it was, bedbound. And so I'm finding balance now that I have the time and ability to take better care of myself, that I'm not working. I know that I didn't need to be working now. I can see that now since I'm getting into a better way. But man, y'all, it's hard to not work when that you go to school for so long to be able to change the world, and then they put you in a cage, and it makes you mad. I'm trying to rub my poor fluid-filled eyes. So, but I'm making peace with it. I'm finding my little areas where I can do things to help, and it's all you can do. It's all you can do. Well, when I do the salts, I try to stay away from a lot of the iodized salts and stuff like that, and I try to do the sea salts or the Celtic salts and stuff like that. But I have to make sure that I'm getting a good amount of minerals in my body to keep a good balance, because if my minerals get out of balance, then my fluid will get even worse. And I also have a lymphatic tincture that I've been using. And luckily, the place, they have contact information. I found them, and I can get more. It's just a blend of a couple of root herbs, and it seems to help. As y'all know, my ears have not waterlogged and caused mastoiditis in quite a while now. So it seems to be helping. I think a lot of it is now I'm doing better, and I can do more during the day, and I get more frustrated when I can't do a little bit more. And so I whine about it more because I've gotten a little spoilt, because I've been able to get out and start having a little bit of a life again. And so when I have these episodes of fluid, it hits me harder because I'm out and about, and it stops me, and I want to be going now, since I'm going a little bit again. I don't go a lot, but I'm out of the bed and doing. So I whine about it a lot. But it's really hard on my body with the heart, and it causes some problems. But I'm doing better. Overall, I'm doing better. So no, Sally, that's not fun. I've got a friend that gets those too, and it's not fun. Not fun. I just wake up and see where my body's going to go that day, and that's how I build my parameters. And I get to do a little bit more when I'm down at Dad and Mom's, because if I overdo, I have somebody there that I know can check on me and can call for help and call my nurse, and so I can test myself a little bit more down there. And that's probably why I do better, because I get up and moving, and I think my body does better. But the stress hits me when I come here. And so, but I was like, if it gets much more stressful, I'll just go back down the hill. Whether she wants me by the ER or not, I'll just go back down the hill. Yeah, I'm pretty careful about everything that goes in and comes out. And I try to have a healthy balance, and I've learned a whole lot through this walk with this disorder. And a lot of people's issues are very basic mineral issues, vitamin deficiencies. And so I'm monitored very closely for that. That's why I have to give so much blood all the time. So, but I do try to keep a healthy regimen and make sure I do have the minerals and vitamins my body needs. And that has improved over the last 5 years. It's improved a lot. So some things are doing better. It's just the fluid, man. If I can whip fluid, I think I can have a decent existence. But I get, 3, 4, sometimes a week or so, I'm like, woohoo, and then boom. And but I will say that the crashes are not as bad. I'm not ending up in the hospital and 8 days in the hospital and organs looking really bad. I'm doing much better overall, so I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, and I need a net. If I feel like it, I will try to pop, not a net, Libacats. Libacats needs more of those apple mints. I was fixing to say, Annette, I'll mail you some apple mints, but Libacats was the one that asked for them. I need to pop some of those up and send her. Her tubers didn't come up again last year, but I think it was a placement issue, so we're going to try again. Was it Sally? Okay, yeah, you can get a lot of good information, and a lot of doctors are getting fed up with stuff and starting to talk out about simple issues you can correct. And there's a lot of good information out there. I still say the best doctor I ever saw was the Amish doctor. It was. Yeah, I'm trying to stay as close around that as I can. trying to work on the Farmer's Almanac in information. Trying to. But I've got to get some stuff out while David's got a day off, or it won't get out. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get stuff out. No, we do have some stuff. He's off Monday. No, he's not. He's off. No, he's off Monday. His new schedule, I can't. And he does have some stuff he's going to save and put out on Monday. But I'm just going to try to get stuff out today, because if I don't jump in there when he has a day off and I'm here, it won't be done. So I'm going to take advantage of it. So we'll see what I get done today. If I get those videos, I'll get them edited up and get them out to you. But otherwise, I'm just going to try to put around the house and outside and get some sun and let my brain defrag. That's what I'm doing. Dr. Is it how do you say his name? Artemis? Artis. I want to call him Artemis, like Artemis Powell. Dr. Artis. See, I wish we could plant early like that, but my dad can plant earlier than we can, but we're still way behind here with the temps. Like it got down to around 40 last night. And so just a couple weeks ago, we had a really bad frost, and that would have nipped everything if we'd put it out early. So normally you have to wait till at least after Mother's Day here, and then it's still kind of treacherous. But down under the mountain where Mom and Dad are, it holds just enough of a better temperature. They can kind of fudge the line a little bit more. But up here on the top, you can't. Sally's using Mary to get the calendar going. My peas are doing really good. I'm thinking I'm going to have earlier peas than normal, so that's good. That's good, because Dad doesn't normally plant peas, and I like peas, so I thought I'm going to grow me some. But things are going, and overall things are, stressful, but health-wise I'm better than I was several years ago, and getting Mom took care of and getting all that. So got a lot of things going the right way, so I'm just going to focus on things that are going the right way. It's just been a morning. I wanted updates, so I'm going to eat some yogurt. I'm going to get moving. I'm going to see what I can accomplish today. It may not be a whole lot, but we'll see what I can do. Thank you, Annette. Y'all have a great day. Yeah, it's been weird. The weather, seems like the whole world has had a really odd seasonal shift the last year. Just gotta take it as it comes, I guess. We'll all make it. We're determined. Okay, I'm gonna log off, get my day started, do something with my poor old hair. Look at that. Got cowlick going on. And if I throw up that video later, it'll probably be afternoonish when I get to it. So, and it'll be little snippets of yesterday. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, that's okay. But as I feel better, I'll try to put better quality stuff up because I'll have a little more energy to put into it. So that's the plan. Okay, I'm starting to unswell a little bit. All right, I think I'm gonna go put my ice roller on my face a little bit and try to move that fluid. And then I'm going to use my lymph roller, and then I'm going to start my day. Is that did I put it down here? No, I'm took it back down. Okay. Well, I'm going to start my day with a lymphatic rolling session. Sally, now I'm hungry. Thank you, Mary. Y'all have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves this weekend. Toss up some good energy. It's gonna be heck around here. Bye, guys.